We are joined this evening by a very special guest who has traveled and taken time away from his family to be with us. This man has devoted his remarkable skills to the betterment of the entire men's fraternity community, and we are appreciative of his leadership and service. Here to provide a special report and presentation is Mr. Jud Horras, CEO of the North American Interfraternity Conference. There you are.
Well, as you can tell on the screen, I'm not a Sigma Nu, I'm a member of Beta, and I hope you don't hold that against me for the next few minutes. You've gotten a lot of stats in the last hour. Let me give you one that I think is personal. I've been doing this job for 10 years. Beta Theta Pi has convention every year. And in the last 10 years, I have been to 4 of the 10 Beta conventions. And yet in the last 10 years, I have been involved in all 5 of the Sigma Nu grand chapters. So I think that tells you something. One other quick story. I went to Iowa State University. I am a member of Beta Theta Pi, but more importantly, I'm a proud Cyclone. I also own a little home still in Ames, and I was back this weekend. My daughter goes to college there, so of course I need to get a little home near her to be around for football games. Anyway, I was out for my run on Saturday evening. I was running down Stanton Avenue. I turned left on Knapp Street. Now keep in mind, I went to Iowa State in the 90s, and in the 90s, the chapter of Sigma Nu closed. And unfortunately, it hasn't been back until last year. So it was really special for me to be thinking about my remarks today, what I was going to say, and I turn left on Knapp Street and I start running down and I look up and there it is, the letters of Sigma Nu back on the chapter house. So as a fellow Cyclone, I want to let you know you have a big fan at Iowa State, a lot of fans, and we're going to do everything possible to make sure Sigma Nu stays there forever. Brad asked me to give a few comments on the industry, on the NIC, and I will really tell you a story of how I answer probably the hardest question I get when I sit on a plane next to someone, which is, what do you do for your job? And rather than avoid the conversation, I always turn to them and say, well, do you have a few minutes? And if they say yes, this is what I say. I said, do you know that K through 12 right now, the bottom 10% of graduating high school seniors, so the bottom decile, is made up of 2/3 of men, and the top 10% of graduating class is made up of only 1/3 men. And in 1972, for every 100 men that got a college degree, 78 women in this country got a degree. That was when they enacted Title IX. In 2023, the latest stats we have on it, for every 100 men that get a college degree, there are 132 women that get a college degree. And while we should be very proud of the gender gap closing, we should be concerned what is going on with young men. Why is it that we're 4 times more likely to commit suicide? Why is it that we are reporting as adult males that the average man has 0.83 good friends in their life? What is happening with men in this country? And a lot of people who are moms, they shake their heads, and I bring them into the conversation that way. And then I say, actually, I'm really proud I'm a part of the solution. Did you know that if you're in a fraternity, you are statistically in better mental health with lower anxiety and depression than a student who's not in a fraternity? Did you know if you're in a fraternity that you are better at peer governance, which is holding your fellows accountable? Did you know you're better at collaborative learning than if you're not in a fraternity, if you're just a male on a college campus? Do you know in a moment of crisis when you need counseling, fraternity men are better at going to seek help than non-fraternity men? Did you know if you're an alum of a fraternity or sorority, you're 5 times more likely to give back to your alma mater? Did you know if you're in a fraternity that you are 3 times more likely to have a job out of college or an internship in your first 12 months? And by the way, all of the research shows that if you are a first-gen student, that is, you come from the first generation or lower socioeconomic status, and you join a fraternity versus you're the exact same type of person who doesn't join a fraternity, the impact of the fraternity experience is greater on a first-gen college student who joins a fraternity than a second and third-generation college student who joins a fraternity. That is, we provide the greatest lift on a college campus for those that need it the most. That's what fraternity does. And that's why I'm damn proud of this job. And that's why you should be proud to be Sigma News as well. For some of you, you might not know what the NIC is, and I totally understand. It's basically the international IFC. And our greatest strength is the solidarity of fraternity men to stand together to fight and advocate for the experience I just talked about. So if you're your chapter at Yale, you probably don't know me, but the NIC was involved in ensuring that you got the opportunity to fight against that group of progressive leaders on campus that wanted to do away with fraternity. I know the Sigma Nu chapter was involved there. I know the Sigma Nu chapter was involved at the University of Michigan over the years when they enacted deferred recruitment, and through our joint efforts, they rolled it back. By the way, 9 schools last year voluntarily removed deferred recruitment policies which impact fraternity men, and they rolled it back so you can join when you want to join, not in your second term. That's a result of us pushing back together. That's what the NIC does. If you're at the University of Maryland, you faced a system-wide action which was completely ridiculous. You and all of the other fraternities and sororities were swept up in the allegations which were unproven and yet shut down and made a national media story about all of the problems. And we successfully, through legal action and pushing back, ended that in 2 weeks. By the way, last academic year, because of our stance we take at Maryland and because of the stance we took at the University of Southern California, which unfairly treated your chapter about 4.5 years ago, no school this year did system-wide action because they were afraid of what we would do to stand in solidarity. As you can imagine, this job has some tough, tense moments. This spring, I was faced with a very hard situation involving the White House, an executive order, and our position on single-sex experiences. And for a moment, they were drilling me on what I wanted to do on this Zoom call, and I said, hey, you all, I hate to do this, but I need a few minutes. I've got a personal matter to take care of. Can I come back to you in a few minutes? I literally bought myself time because what did I do? I got off the Zoom line, I picked up my phone, and I texted Brad Beecham, do you have 5 minutes? I need your advice. You see, Sigma Nu isn't just some nefarious, it isn't some just kind of random interfraternal leader that just kind of belongs to the NIC. In my moment of most needing judgment of someone I could trust who would give me the advice and feedback I needed, I picked up the phone instantly in buying time, texted Brad, and was on the phone with him 90 seconds later. You don't understand how important he and Sigma Nu is to the solidarity and success of the NIC. And for that, I say thank you very much, Brad, for helping me. Now, part of this job isn't just tense moments, it's fun moments, which is giving out awards. And so I know I'm on a tight timeline, but I think it's worth taking a few moments to honor some special people. Every year we give out essentially Greek Man of the Year or Greek Fraternity Man of the Year. There are about 250,000 men who are in a fraternity at any given moment in North America. This year, we selected 7 of the top 250,000 men. So if you are in this category, you are in the top 1% of 10% of 100% of 1,000%. So you are like extremely elite if you're one of the 7. And of course, tonight I'm honoring 2 of the 7 because they are Sigma Nu. So congratulations to this fraternity. The first brother is not with us tonight. He hails from the University of Georgia chapter. Of the many great things that are on his resume, I have to note this bullet point. In 2023, he was named the National Barry Goldwater Scholar, and in 2024, he was a finalist as a Rhodes Scholar. Ladies and gentlemen, could a brother from the University of Georgia chapter come up and receive the recognition for Emilio Ferrara from the University of Georgia? While they're walking up, I want to move along and I'm going to introduce someone who is with us tonight. You know, I have personally met with him, and his story is impressive about what he's done on campus. Most important, besides being student body president not once, but 2 years in a row, he was a part of the anti-hazing coalition on his campus that was actively fighting hazing. Now, all of you know why Sigma Nu was formed many, many years ago was to fight hazing. And his involvement at Montana State is making a difference. It is not a coincidence that he's student body president 2 times in a row because he is a fantastic individual. And so will you please join me in welcoming Jacob Zink from Montana State University up here. I often get asked the question from fraternity men, well, which fraternity is the best fraternity out there? That is an impossible thing to say, so I just point to the facts. And I say, look, I study this in great detail over the last 20 years. Which fraternity has consistently grown and consistently in a steady way shown progress year after year after year in membership, in grades, in risk reduction, in excellence in programming, and inevitably, and average chapter size, which is a mark of quality, inevitably, it leads me to the quick answer of you'd have to look straight at Sigma Nu as one of the best, right? That's just the facts. If somebody recorded that, don't show it before I get out of this. I got to go to Sigma Chi still, so it's just the facts. But one of the things I notice when I'm on the road and dealing with alumni and alumni councils is inevitably there is a good Sigma Nu advisor in the room who's plugged in. I think that's the first time I can say this. Every time I had a situation this year, Sigma Nu alums were involved locally in that situation in a positive, productive way. So one of the ways we honor excellence in alumni involvement is to give out an award of distinction for outstanding alumnus. This brother of Sigma Nu has been involved for the last 15 years in restarting his chapter. And anybody who's restarted and recolonized or rebirthed a chapter knows it's not an easy, direct path up. It has challenges. And maintaining that after you get going can be even harder. That's why when the Chapter 1 Chapter of the Year Award and a recent Rock Chapter Award, it was obvious to our committee in listening to and reading the letters of recommendation from the brothers of the chapter as well as from the LSU administration. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Hiller receives our award of distinction for alumni involvement this past year. The NIC gives out gold and silver medals to honor brothers who have a lifetime of engagement in serving the interfraternal community or the higher education community. I believe with us tonight, although the lights are shining on me, we have a gold medal recipient in Howard Pickett. Where are you, Howard? Please stand and be recognized. Howard? Yes? Previous chair of the NIC. Last year, I gave one to Vic Boschini, or 2 years ago, a member of Sigma Nu. And I believe Mike Long, are you here? Mike Long received the silver medal. Congratulations, Mike Long. Well, tonight we're about to give out another silver medal to a very worthy Sigma Nu. I actually heard him speak 3 years ago at a conference. He's an alum of your Mississippi State University chapter. He has been involved for over 40 years working on college campuses, whether it's South Carolina State, Upstate, Millsaps, Emory, Northeast Louisiana University, the University of Southern Mississippi, and most recently, Southwestern University. He has been involved in all areas of student affairs, including recently Vice President of Student Affairs. Perhaps the most important statistic that I'll read from his resume of accomplishments, he has been involved in 18 articles that have been published or cited for his work. 18. Just to give you a little piece of how important that is, I have worked for 50 years in this field, and I've got one. This guy's got 50. He is impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a very warm, loud ovation for your brother, Brit Katz. Come on up and receive the silver medal.
Brother Jerry Fields, are you out there, sir? Jerry Fields? Good evening, sir. Would you like to adopt me? Be open, sir. Now, of course, I got to talk to my parents, but we can work something out. Such generosity that you've shown to Sigma Nu, Dad. Good evening, Regent Gaston, Executive Director Beecham, brothers and guests of Legion of Honor. I am Brit Katz, and I am a Sigma Nu for this life and the next. Thank you. I want to thank the president of the National Interfraternity Conference, Jud Horras, for his very kind introduction, and more importantly, for his acceptance of the nomination and the acknowledgement of the work I put in with the silver medal. This is one of the great honors, greatest honor of my life. Big deal for a little guy like me. I also want to thank the national officers under the award-winning leadership of the Honorable Brad Beecham, because the fraternity nominated me for the medal in partnership with Delta 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 sorority alumna Dr. Dawn Watkins-Weiss, who herself is a winner of the silver medal. So I feel very unworthy, but deeply, deeply grateful to all of you and hope to meet some of you in the next couple of days. As Judd said, I'm finishing my 43rd uninterrupted consecutive year of service to college students in general, fraternity men and sorority women in particular, and I couldn't be prouder to tack my flag to the mast of my reputation in support of what the interfraternal experience and Sigma Nu mean to a college man, no matter what the media may say. Let me tell you a story about me and Sigma Nu. Some 40-plus years ago, I was reared at a time in Mississippi and Louisiana where hazing was not only popular, it was kind of expected. You joined one of the fraternities and you kind of expected to be beaten up or humiliated publicly or found there was some reason to treat you badly, and I just didn't want any of that, so I got involved in other forms of leadership. But you see, I suffered from a terrible case of what we know now psychologically as imposter syndrome, and some of you in this room have it too. The sense that you're never comfortable in your own skin, that you feel no matter where you are, you're not in place with your true self and with others, and you don't feel like any organization wants you to join and be who you are. Sigma Nu approached me at Mississippi State back in 19-something, and told me, well, but you don't understand, we don't haze. And I said, yeah, you know, this is back in those days when it was really anticipated. You're going to get treated badly for a while before you got the pen. And Sigma Nu goes, no, you don't get us at all. We're not going to haze. Needless to say, I joined. I never hazed. I never learned how to haze. I never gained a mentality for what it meant to haze. And to the Legion of Honor, I am deeply grateful for that. It's the only reason I joined the Legion of Honor back in those years, and what a tremendous gift membership has been ever since. That is the honor of our membership, no hazing. I want to talk a little bit about the honor of our relationships with our institutions. Are you aware, as Jud just said, that we're in a period of time we're calling as administrators the enrollment apocalypse? If you've heard of the enrollment apocalypse, would you raise your hand? Good. Well, most of it's the volunteers, collegians. What it means to us is that around 2006 or 7, the United States went down the tubes economically, and people stopped having babies. They couldn't afford them, and in the meantime, the wealth inequity has widened, so people can't afford children. That means colleges and universities are struggling with their enrollments. Here's our unique opportunity, gentlemen of the Legion, to get into our admissions offices and offer our volunteer time and effort to help recruit men and women to your institution, in addition to bringing in the research that Jud referenced, the science that says membership in a fraternity makes you more likely to come to that campus, remain enrolled, graduate on time, be more satisfied with your experience, and then, give back your money. That's really important. In addition, we're finding that fewer males want to go to school. That we have sent out a just foolish sort of inferred message from higher education nationwide that males aren't welcome. I don't understand that, and I've done my best to countervail the arguments, particularly by supporting men's athletics and men's fraternity life, but it's there, and men are choosing to do other things if we don't remind them why they are fully welcomed into our embrace. That's part of the honor. Lastly, there's the truth of retention statistics. Join a good fraternity, and let me rephrase that. Join a good operating chapter, and you are much more likely to stay enrolled. Gen Z, gentlemen, I love you. I've served you since you come to college, but at the same time, y'all are quick to leave a campus and go someplace else you think you might be more satisfied. Join a good fraternity, and at Southwestern University, we proved in the last 6 semesters, we hang on to people, we retain them at a 97.1% likelihood at a time that the university was keeping 85 to 86%. That's huge for me to tell the enrollment manager, huge for me to tell my president, and it kind of led to a huge bonus, but we won't talk about that now. So in summary, we don't haze. We help our institutions recruit. We have the science to show that we are the reason men are retained through graduation. That is, for us, that's our honor, our truth, our way in the light of Sigma Nu. And to all of you who have contributed in some way, and you know who you are, alums and officers, I cannot be more grateful to represent the Legion of Honor in you by wearing the medal. And this has been so exciting that I hope that you'll let me come back 43 years from now and win again. Thank you so much.